Welcome to the Mike on Watch podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman.
Hello, party people on the internet and in podcast land.
We also got our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham.
Hello.
So we are, for our listeners that might be listening to this on iTunes, we are also doing a Facebook Live right now. So if you're watching at home, thanks for tuning in. Max, you just played the Junos.
Yes, I demanded that we make this episode all about me.
Yeah. This.
Well,
you're the producer. We're going to get an insider account of what it's like to play the Junos for the whole country, live on TV.
So I thought it'd be interesting, actually, for our listeners to get a little behind-the-scenes look at, what a weekend in Arkellsville looks like. And when we kind of do anything, I like to do as much work as possible. When it comes to like, okay, how can we have the most fun? How can we, make an impression? How can we create a bond with the city that we're going to? So as a result, it was a very work-heavy weekend. In other Junos, it's been more of a party weekend, but this year it was like, all right, let's do a bunch of stuff. So we started on Friday and we did a pop-up show for CBCQ.
Yeah.
We did an acoustic thing for a conference. We had to sound check for our actual performance, which was on the Sunday. So Friday was very busy. Saturday was the day of the gala dinner, and Mike and I were presenters at the gala, which was kind of
Mike D, your guitar player.
Yeah, Mike D, our guitar player. And we had to go and rehearse. It was literally 2 lines. We were presenting the alternative.
Was there any jokes? Did they give you any banter?
So no, they didn't. So the script was the alternative album of the year is presented by Long McQuaid. Long McQuaid are longtime supporters of Canadian musicians. Here are the nominees. It was literally that kind of straight. So, but I kind of wanted to make some kind of joke.
So you went off script.
So I went off script.
Wow.
I know. So backstage, just before we were going to go on. Okay, what am I trying to say? Okay, so backstage before we went on, Jazz Cartier, who had just won Rap Album of the Year, was sort of milling about. And I had never met Jazz Cartier, but I'm a big fan. So I was like, hey man, congratulations, that's awesome. How's it going? He's like, good. I was like, what are you doing back here still? Because he just won his award. Normally you go do a bunch of press. He said, man, I left my cell phone on the podium when I was accepting my award. I was like, thank you, God. This is exactly what I need. I was like, do you want to come in and present the award with us? That'd be funny. And also, for some context, on the way up to the Junos, I had to stop at the Kingston Ramada because Dave from the Strumbellas texted me, and he left his bag at the hotel. So I had to pull off the highway, pick up Dave's bag. I took a photo of me looking very disappointed, and then I took another photo of me handing the bag back to Dave and him going like this and being ashamed. So I thought it kind of played in line with me kind of running errands for people.
Yeah.
So on Jazz is actually kind of a shy guy. She's like, no, I don't want to come up. I don't want to come up. Just if you can grab it, I'd really appreciate it. I was like, okay. So we go up on the stage, and the first thing I say is, Jazz Cartier left his cell phone here, and I got a good laugh. I was like, Jazz, your phone is blowing up. People are happy for you. and I was like, you got a text from, and I just started reading the names. And actually, in retrospect, I could have really made it uncomfortable for his girlfriend or something. He was getting text messages from ex-lovers or something. I don't know.
Right.
And then my joke was, so the script continued, and Long McQuaid notoriously has a very lenient return policy. And we, for instance, we've rented a PA from them that we haven't returned since 2013.
Right.
And I made a joke about them and their very generous return policy, and that got a good laugh. It was kind of an insider joke. Anyway, July Talk won the award that we presented, and they're old friends of ours. I kissed them all on the lips. Not Leia or Pete, but the other two. Leia and Pete were sick.
Right.
But and so that was the first part of the Saturday night. But the second part of the Saturday night was this Motown set that we put together, and we basically corralled a bunch of our friends and had a set list of about 20 Motown songs, and we did this little 200 cap club, and it was an awesome night.
Yeah.
So how do you decide who are the friends that get in? Or were any fans in at all? Or?
Yeah, there was a lot of industry people were there, but everybody who's in town for Ottawa for the weekend is always looking for something to do on the Saturday night after the gala.
You had a lot of people up too to sing. I saw Jim Cuddy went up.
Yeah, so Cuddy.
So how do you decide who gets up?
So basically, I sent out the list, and I was like, all right, just claim the song you want first. And by the way, Cuddy is the best. Cuddy's sort of the ringleader of the Canadian music industry. He's basically at every event. And some people who show up to too many events are like, oh, that guy's at this event. Oh, God, and everyone rolls their eyes. That never happens with Cuddy. Everyone's like, that's Jim fucking Cuddy. He's the best. Because he, like, owns every room he goes into. He's so charismatic. He's really funny. He's really nice, but he's also very, like, quick-witted and can be, like, he can kind of tease you, too.
Yeah.
So we had him up for Ain't Too Proud to Beg. And as the beat was going, I was like, all right, welcome Jim Cuddy to the stage. This song, we were playing a Temptation song from 1966. I was like, this song came out when Jim was a child. and just before he was going to give me a quick back, I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. I cut him off.
No time to respond?
Yeah, no time to respond. Sorry, Jim.
That's funny.
And we had our friend Luke from the Dirty Nil. We had Zach from the Zolas. We had the Arkells, Amoy, Chazelle, and Alana. They all came up and did songs with us. And it was really fun.
When you do a set like that and it's like loose and everyone's partying, are you enjoying a couple drinks as the night goes?
Here's the thing. No, as I said, was on work modes. And I was sort of had to like keep everything kind of on track. Because we've only played the songs a few times, I'm kind of cueing the band a little bit. Like it's not like it's like another day at the office. Like we kind of have to really be on our best, thinking, like we have to be on our toes. So the one funny thing that happened though, Sam Roberts emailed me back and was like, "I'll do Respect," like the Aretha Franklin song. I was like, amazing. But I noticed at the dinner, and this isn't just Sam. It was literally everybody else at the dinner. Everybody's like boozing very hard at the dinner. Like when the Hip won the award for Rock Album of the Year, Dave from Sam's band literally stood on the table and was going hip, 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 hip. Like everyone was like on fire that night.
And your show was later that night.
And our show was later that night. And so this was at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? And we weren't Sam wasn't gonna be on stage with us till 2 in the morning. So and then I heard word, I think from you, Dan Carruthers, who's behind the camera, said, "Oh yeah, I ran into Sam and he said he's coming to the show, but he doesn't think he knows all the words." I was like, okay, that's good to know. So then we start Respect, and Amoy, who's one of the Arkells, and she was up for a JUNO, for a reggae album of the year. Shouts to Amoy. I go over to Amoy, because she's up on stage with us, and I was like, sing every damn word. Okay, you need to keep this on the tracks. She's like, I got it. And so Sam comes, he starts the song at the wrong time. I'm like, okay, Amoy, just don't stop singing. So basically, Amoy sang the whole song. Sam was sort of just lip syncing along. Anyway, but because Sam Roberts is like the ultimate frontman, and by the way, is so strikingly handsome, it's distracting. He's like got like perfectly tan skin. He like doesn't have like an ounce of body fat. He's just like so nice to look at. Like everyone was just like so excited. It was like, yeah, and like Sam Roberts slayed it, but like he nailed the R-E-S-P-E-C-T part.
That's good.
Yeah.
He could spell the word.
He could still spell the word.
Yeah.
But anyway, shouts to Sam. Anyway, we did a grand finale. Oh, the other thing is, my parents were in town, and we did.
They got up and did a couple songs?
My dad came up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was joking.
No. Well, I said, Dad, get up here. We did Tracks of My Tears.
Nice.
He showed me that song, and that's one of my favorite Smokey Robinson songs. And it reminds me of my childhood. And he
cried a lot as a child?
No. I just love Motown, man. And so that was cool. So that was Saturday night. And on Sunday, we got word that Bryan Adams wanted to do Summer of '69 with an all-star cast
for the actual JUNO show.
For the actual JUNO show.
All right, and so now I'm gonna frame some stuff here. So if you're listening and you're down in the States, the JUNOs is essentially, it's our Grammys. It's the biggest award show in Canada. Just to give it a bit of context, I probably should have done that off the top. If you're listening down in the States, you know who Bryan Adams is. He's probably, the most successful Canadian musician of all time?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys get word that he wants to end the show, the big broadcast, with an all-star sing-along to Summer of '69.
Yes. And they wanted, they kind of assigned verses to each person. So Sarah McLachlan got a verse, Alessia Cara got a verse, I got a verse.
Was there a party where it was like, am I going to get a verse?
Well, no, I mean, I wasn't even, no. They just told me, you're getting a verse. I was like, okay, sure.
That's awesome.
So, Simon from the Strumbellas, Billy Talent, Ian and Ben from Billy Talent got a verse. So it was really fun. So we were all sound checking. No, it happened so quickly. It's like, so we did Drake's Dad, our song, and I normally don't use in-ear monitors. I usually use wedges, but because the nature of the performance had me at the front of the stage, I had to use in-ears, which are kind of hard to get used to. And basically the way it works is I get a count-in from like a voice in my head that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the beat for the song comes in. I go 1, 2, 3. We were rolling down Beale Street, because that track, that like syncopated beat in Drake's Dad, was sort of like the structure of the song, and there's a few other layers like in the music there that needed to be sung to. So if I had screwed up that count, everything would have been off.
Yeah, it would have been like Mariah Carey years.
Exactly. So and that's what everybody's playing along to. So I was really happy I hit that.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have. You know what I was thinking though? If I had screwed it up, I would have done an Adele. I'd be like, now, we're doing it again.
You would have stopped it and
Oh,
restarted
yeah, for
it?
sure.
Wow, that would have been the story of the show.
Yeah. So and that's why I was like, if that happens, it's still cool because we have more attention.
Do you get nervous for a show like that?
Yeah, I was definitely like very. I was nervous, but very excited. I was like, let's do this. Like I like embracing it. Like I wasn't that nervous. I thought soundcheck went pretty well, so I was feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
And we got to make some notes for the production team, Insight, who do a hell of a job producing the Junos, and they hit all the marks that we asked them to after we had soundcheck, because we got to watch playback. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if you got Tim's drum fill going to the last chorus, or you hit Mike's guitar solo from this angle, and they were all about it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to throw some questions maybe from our listeners or our viewers on Facebook Live?
We have a few.
All right.
Colin Drake wanted to know, how did the song choice come about for Max and the boys?
That's a good question. I think typically on award shows, they never want anybody to switch the channel, so they always encourage the acts to play their biggest songs. It's like the radio. It's like you just want a song that you're familiar with. And Drake's Dad has never been a single, and our biggest song from the record is probably My Heart's Always Yours. But I think they're really excited about Drake's Dad because it has so much energy and like lends itself well to like a big rock and roll production. My Heart's Always Yours is a little more linear. It's a little more just like laid back. And I agree with him. I think for television, Drake's Dad was totally the right song to choose.
I think you sort of answered Zach Dean's question about if you get nervous before performing. Alyssa on Instagram wanted to know, how drunk or high was Max during that performance?
Yeah, people thought that.
Really?
Yeah, some people thought.
Did you think that? Well, Max doesn't smoke weed, so I knew he wasn't high.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really drink, so I knew he wasn't drunk.
Yeah. I didn't even think you seemed off or weird.
No, I think actually the way Ash, our manager, put it, she's like, if you don't know what the deal is with like the hip and like Gord Downie's like stage moves, you'd think he's wasted all the time, but that's just sort of like the way he is. So I think for people who don't know or haven't seen the Arkells, they might think, oh, this guy's kind of a wild man. But Arkells fans, I don't think we're that.
Well, I think you got a little teary-eyed when you started saying the North Star stuff.
Oh,
It seemed like it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I
they could've
rewound
thought-
it a couple times.
They could have thought you were hallucinating.
yeah.
Just going off script.
Were
Yeah.
you getting teary-eyed for that?
No,
one?
I wasn't.
Okay,
No,
it
I was
looked like
probably
it to me.
sweaty or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it was the light glare. Into
Yeah, I think the red jacket like made me like look a little flush on television or something too, which I think maybe people thought I was wrong.
No, you look good.
Thank you.
Well, actually, last year I feel like you did a look off into the distance for Hamilton, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
This is becoming your signature Juno
Yeah.
as a performance move.
It's a good move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Caitlin just logged on and she says she loves the hat variety today.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
noticing
we're all in
that.
hats.
Well, we normally are, but
All
the variety,
different hats, yeah.
That's good.
Karen had a few questions. She wanted to know, how do you book a gospel choir for an awards show?
Yeah, so Insight Productions, they help a great deal, and they coordinated like a bunch, basically any of the logistics. It's like they take care of, and they found an amazing group of gals from Ottawa to be in the gospel choir.
When you're like in rehearsal and stuff, are you like joking with the ladies?
Oh, it was awesome! Like they were so cool, and they had like literally the time of their life. Like they were like, they were saying like, this is the coolest thing ever. We all like we were texting about the after party afterward, and also the shot of me and the gospel choir ended up on the front cover of the Ottawa Citizen. So they were just like kind of on the moon and like so happy. And they also said at the end, they're like,
Are you high and drunk?
no, they said we've been talking about it, and we're all certain that you're definitely part black.
Oh, they said
And
that.
as a Jewish white guy from Toronto, that's literally a dream. Any white Jewish guy from Toronto just wants that. So, but yeah, they were awesome, and I ended up spending a ton of time with them too, because like that part of the stage was a little bit removed, so during sound check and also their moves were amazing. They had a choreographer that just like kind of helped make it look effortless, and they totally nailed it. So it was really fun.
This one could be for any of you. Karen also wanted to know, it seems the more successful a Canadian musician is abroad, the less likely it is that he or she will attend the Junos. Is there any resentment over this or self-righteousness from the people who do attend?
Interesting question. That's a really interesting question. So I guess she's getting at the idea that like Drake and Bieber and The Weeknd aren't showing up because they're sort of like they've gone to another stratosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the way I see it is that these artists that are like international stars are literally having people tug at them from every corner of the earth to do something. People like are just asking them to show up to the award show in Australia, or they're on a tour, and so it's just hard, I think, to make time every year for the Junos. And as much as everybody in the Canadian music industry would love to have them there, I think everybody also understands it's like they just can't be there every year because they got commitments all around the world.
As a viewer, Shane, how do you feel when the biggest names in Canadian music don't show up for our seminal award show?
Max was there.
Yeah, that knows it's true.
Well, you want to see the biggest stars, right? So it is a little disappointing when you're seeing someone like when you don't really know them. I'm not a huge music guy, so I only really know the big acts. So, like when you were saying Jazz or whatever his name
Jazz
is,
Cartier.
yeah, I had no clue who that was. So yeah. I'd like to see Drake or Bieber. It's more interesting.
Do you think as Canadians, like we're a little bit insecure when it comes to them not coming to the award show? Like it's like a reflection on their Canadianness, or like it's like, well, it's like you should show your pride by showing up to our show, and it's like they didn't come to our house party.
Yeah, I think because there's like a politeness in Canadian society that you'd think like, well, they should though. It's like we're the family,
Right.
Which I think that's a sweet part about Canadian culture. But also, I get it.
The realities.
The realities of people asking you to do stuff,
All right.
and the demand on their time.
So next year, when you are in another stratosphere, will you be ditching the Junos?
Yeah, for sure, I'm not going.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, no. You know what? The Junos have been very good to us, and we'll always make time.
Another one, does Max have any good stories about meeting his fans in Ottawa?
Yeah, we did a fan fair, which is like an autograph signing thing at the mall, and yeah, we met lots of nice people. Lots of locals came out and like got their picture taken. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
I saw on the Instagram, the Mike How Much Instagram, Emma, one of our listeners, ended up in a photo.
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, she was loving the pod.
I was like, because some stuff gets posted, and you see, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, speaking of pod stuff, is I talked to Alessia Cara, and it's very weird because she was on stage for this final hoedown with Bryan Adams.
You were talking to her during the song.
No, well, a little bit during the song. I did go over. I was like, "This is great, huh?"
So you're talking to Alessia Cara,
and I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm a big fan because I am a huge fan of Alessia Cara, and it's always a little weird being a grown man like fanboying over like someone 10 years younger than you.
Sure.
But she is so cool. Like she has been seemingly like unaffected by her fame. She's just like, "Oh, hey man, it's cool."
She's worth $3 million.
I believe it.
Net worth, yeah.
And like I noticed her. She was sitting like across like the aisle from me during the show. And during one of the commercial breaks, there was a Shania Twain song playing, and there wasn't any cameras on her or anything like that. She was sort of like singing along, like not for attention, just like she liked that Shania Twain song.
Yeah.
But anyway, I told her, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you remember this, but I produced this podcast for Much Music, and it's called Mike on Much, and you did an interview with us, and it was really good." She's like, "Oh, I totally remember that. Like that guy was awesome." I don't know if she's good at selling it, if she's lying, but she remembered that fondly. So that made me very happy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
At a fan meet and greet, you let the fans kiss you and be all over you and stuff, right? I saw a picture where a fan was kissing.
Occasionally, somebody will go, "Can I kiss you on the cheek and take a photo?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Let's say a 40-year-old man asked you that. Same reaction?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
I don't discriminate.
Would you let Shane kiss you on the cheek right now as a super fan?
Yeah.
I'll ask my own questions.
I think the one kissing you was your neighbor. That picture.
Oh, there is a picture of me. Yeah, my neighbor Leslie, who's been like our biggest supporter since, and I played in bands with her sons. She came to the meet and greet and like stood in line, asked for a photo. I was like, "Leslie, what the hell are you doing here?" And she came to the show and came to the party. She had a great time.
That's great.
Allison Campbell wants to know, after all these awesome shows the boys did every night, I want to know where they went out for late night eats.
Yeah, we had across from our hotel there was a Dunn's smoked meat thing, so we did that one night. And actually, though, on the Friday, I got a lift home with Dave from the Strumbellas, but I didn't have my wallet with me. and I really wanted pizza, so I was like, Dave, can I have $20? And he was like, okay. It was a very weird ask to, you know, at 2 in the morning. I was like, it's just for pizza, I swear. And
you're not helping the rumors.
yeah. And he was like, okay, here you go. I was like, see you later. And so I owe Dave from the Strumbellas $20.
Did you get like a large pizza to yourself?
No, I just got a little pizza.
Oh, nice.
There's change.
Okay. There was change. Did you have change? You're going to return it to Dave?
Yeah, I
I
think
like it.
Yeah.
Nicholas Speedy Gonzalez on Instagram wants to know, what was your favorite cover to play on Saturday night?
Sir Duke was awesome. We never played that one before.
Sorry, guys.
But that one's actually kind of a hard song to play. There's like a lot of notes. I don't play. I make a point of not playing any guitar for this whole set. So it's like all the heavy lifting had to be done by the guys.
I always appreciate how much work you put your bass player Nick through.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of work in the Motown set.
Honestly, it's like he's got to learn so much, and he's doing all the heavy lifting. I feel like.
Oh, I know. But you know, I got to learn all those lyrics.
That's true.
Actually, though, to be honest, I wasn't gonna be able to learn all the lyrics, so that's when I started delegating. I'm like, all right, you're taking the second verse. All right, you're taking the third verse. And it's good.
It's a pro move.
Yeah.
I think those are all the Junos questions we had, but Karen also wanted to know how Shane's Basement is doing. You might need to reset about the last episode.
So on the last episode of the Mike and Much podcast, who was Julia Michaels, again, you get the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, whole bunch of business. We talked to Julia Michaels, who's an amazing songwriter, but then Shane came on at the end and had a bit of a flood in his basement. I would say viewer discretion advised, or listener discretion advised when you listen to it, because there's a lot of poopy in this story. But anyway, your basement flooded.
Yeah, it was filled up with shit, and we cleaned it all up. We shoveled it up and put all these special chemicals on the ground for a few days, and then cleaned it up, and then put the chemicals on again. And
you had a disclaimer too about cleaning that you wanted to talk about.
what was that?
Because you said at the end, you go, I literally was picking up poo with my bare hands.
Yeah. For some reason, in the last pod, I was saying I was picking up shit with my bare hands, and everyone was so distracted because you were about to go on the social and you were about to do an interview that people just let that go by. I wasn't actually picking up shit with my bare hands. I was wearing gloves. Just because people were asking me, like, you know, like, you're picking up shit. Why would you buy a gas mask, buy a hazmat suit, only to pick up the shit with your bare hands? No, I was wearing gloves.
Yeah.
Just to clear that up.
Yeah, it wasn't like a pleasure thing. Like, I really want to get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, one thing we should talk about, since we were talking about the Junos, and it all seems like it's been amazing, but there was a little bit of controversy with the Junos. Sure. Russell Peters, co-host with Bryan Adams, the Junos had to issue an apology sort of for some comments he made about a politician, and then obviously about some younger girls in the crowd. Has he said anything? Does anyone know? He hasn't spoken about
all he's done is like Twitter comments that are defending him.
Right.
Really?
Interesting move.
How do you know that?
Googled it.
Okay, so to clarify, what were some of the things that he said? So basically, he said, what's the politician's?
Melanie Jolie.
Right.
Who introduced us at the Motown set.
Oh, really?
I met her. She's really nice.
So he said, I don't know why she's here, but she's hot, so who cares?
Right.
So right away, I get commenting on her looks, diminishing her stature as a politician, whatnot. And then the other controversial thing he said was, there's a bunch of young girls in the crowd. There's a felony waiting to happen. Something along those lines. So people were pretty upset about this. Do we think that people's outrage and concern was warranted?
I think yes, I totally agree why those things are not cool to say ever, and I'm really glad the Junos put out that release. The only thing I'll say though is that I just feel bad for the people at CARIS, which is the organizing body for the JUNO Awards and the Junos, because I know them personally. Alan Reid, who's the president who put out that statement, could not be a better leader for the Canadian music industry. I really admire him. He's such a positive force, and I know how hard they work, and it's just sad to me that they literally work the whole year to put on this show, and then the whole show is just diminished into 2 lines that their host said totally off script. And so that's just the disappointing thing, is that, and Russell Peters is known for going off script. Also, Russell Peters sells out arenas all around the world. He probably doesn't even care. Anyway, that's sort of the most unfortunate thing, is that if you were to read coverage of the JUNO Awards, it doesn't get any praise for like the diversity that existed in the show, or the performances, or just like the delightful moments that happened throughout the night and on the weekend. The only thing that goes, well, this thing happened. Anyway, so it
steals the narrative.
Steals the narrative, which
Sure.
I think is disappointing.
It definitely like mars an event that so many people put so much work into, and is
Yeah.
like, you know, one of the biggest events in our country. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Like, I don't think it really marred the event.
I'm just saying, like,
The coverage after.
Anything
Yeah.
on my Facebook feed from like friends and stuff was all about the Russell Peter comments.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then that's like a lot of the narrative around.
Like, he also made a comment about how he left a dog in his car to Sarah McLachlan,
Yeah.
who's involved with
Animal rights.
animal rights and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he went, "I'm kidding, for God's sake." And then so that never got any heat. Like, do people get like he's one of the most controversial comedians. He's known for riffing more than he is for jokes. And when his scripted jokes are all about racial controversies and doing imitations of Asian men and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Peters is going to say something that's borderline offensive. That's his whole bread and butter. If you look at any YouTube comments, which I did this morning, every comedic set is all just, this guy's a racist, and then someone defending him, and then every single comment is controversial on any YouTube performance he's ever done. I don't know, if he had said, "Oh, I'm kidding," it was just like a hack joke, like an uncle might say. It just wasn't that funny. And the joke about the woman being hot, like, I don't know, Pierre Trudeau's number one thing anyone says about him is he's hot. His looks take the forefront more than anything he does politically.
Yeah, but you have to respect like the power dynamics there that make it like.
I don't know, but
It's
if you're a comedian,
different
your
than
job
calling a guy hot and calling a girl hot. As Mike said, diminishes her role as a politician, in which he actually.
If he had said, "Hey, she's here. I don't know why, but hey, I'm a single guy and she's attractive, so who cares?" That maybe would have been better. I think that's kind of the core of the joke.
You know, I understand what the core of the joke is. If I was Russell Peters, I think the genius is if you can like walk that line and say something that is like a little shocking, but not gonna like offend everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a hard thing. That's a very hard thing to do. But
of course, how do you filter that in the moment when comedy, the nature of comedy is all about risks?
yeah,
Right.
no,
So
true.
you're
And he
definitely
took some risks, and he probably nailed a few jokes, and then, but you know,
like I wasn't out searching for controversial stuff yesterday, but I was just happened to be watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with your doppelganger,
that's
Charlie Day. But
Max hates
anyway,
when
I'm
people
watching
compare
the
to
show,
Charlie
and one of the scenes is they own a bar, and they're trying to act very nice for the bar patrons. But then it doesn't work, and one of the girls who works there gets one of the bartenders upset, and he starts strangling the girl, and they get into a fight, and then it's just, that was the joke. It's just that he was hitting a woman. And I don't think they were like making light of female violence.
no, yeah, I mean,
And SNL this past weekend made a very, like with Bradley Cooper, made a pedophile joke. It was a rerun, but still, like it was very overt pedophile joke.
yeah, I just think context, time, place is very important. And
And
SNL means something different than the JUNO Awards.
And those
Well,
are
the Oscars or whatever.
But those are
like-
comedy shows too that are doing something different than. I mean, people aren't tuning in the Junos. It's not the Russell Peters comedy show. It's
Yes,
to
it
celebrate
was.
music.
They hired a comedian to host the show. When the Oscars get Ricky Gervais, it's essentially a comedy show to host.
The Golden Globes. The Oscars would never get Ricky Gervais.
Well, whoever, Chris Rock.
Right.
It's a comedy show, and it's always very offensive.
I mean, and that's the interesting question. It's like, you know, what do you think you're getting when you hire Russell Peters? And it's like, is there a conversation that goes on before where it's like, hey, the focus here is to celebrate the best in Canadian music. This is our sort of annual celebration. Like, make your jokes. But it's like, I guess, are you hiring, like, if you get bit by a dog that's bit people before, are you silly for trying to pet it? I guess is maybe a question. That being said, he's a huge comedian. They did have a different host who had to pull out for family reasons. And so, you know, Russell stepped in and Bryan stepped in. And I think to Max's point, I guess the biggest shame is that people are mostly talking about this in the aftermath as opposed to other things.
yeah.
Like Dave Chappelle's comedy show, which is just a comedy show, he made a bunch of homophobic comments. He even used the F word in referring to gay people.
You talking about his latest stand-up on Netflix?
Yeah, and that doesn't seem to be causing huge, because he's popular right now. He's in fashion.
I saw a really interesting comment about, because I watched that one, and it's good. Somebody tweeted, watching Dave Chappelle is like 70% laughing your ass off and 30% cringing and feeling uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that is 100% true. And I think that's kind of like the genius of him pushing boundaries, but he definitely says uncomfortable things. But again, that's Dave Chappelle's forum. The Junos were a different platform. All right.
What are we at now? How long have we been rolling?
We've been going for a while.
About 25.
We're going to wrap this baby up right now. Max, you did an awesome job at Juno's.
Thank you.
Show was great.
Were you mad you didn't win it? This is your first time
Oh,
winning a Juno, isn't it?
Oh no! I mean, the two categories we were up for were the Tragically Hip categories.
Right.
And you know what? In the back of my mind, I was like, if we win, like, what am I even going to say? Like, nobody wants to hear from me. Like, everyone just wants to hear from the hip, and it'd be a weird year to win. So I was actually, I'm not just saying this, like, kind of relieved that we didn't win, because it would have. Again, it's like, what am I going to say that anybody wants to hear? So I was very happy for the hip. Those guys deserve it. They actually, the one a little controversy was that they cut off the hip. That was the other big narrative. I don't know whose snafu that was on Insight, but I talked to Paul after that, and he was like, I didn't know that they were playing me off, and I'm still kind of shaking from it. Like, he was, I think he was taken a little by surprise. But again,
Did the hip deserve to win, or was it more of a tribute to what's going on with Gord Downey? And it was like,
no, I think they put on an awesome record. I think any of the bands in a vacuum could have taken home the award, but it makes 100% sense that the hip won.
But under different circumstances, would you think the hip still would have won?
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, fair to say.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Again, Mike and Much Podcast. You can get us on iTunes, YouTube. You're watching this on Facebook Live, Much.com, Google Play, Stitcher. You can follow us at Mike and Much on Instagram and Twitter. And leave a comment on iTunes, which is usually what you say. But
Yeah, do that stuff. Support the show. Share with your friends.
thanks so much for tuning in. See you next week. We don't die on the weekend.